So you want to get in the Army. What are the steps? What to expect? Let's get into it. So my name's Darius. I just got out of the Army a year ago, and I've kind of created this channel as a way for people who are getting into the Army to find different things, information that may be not out there, as well as people who are getting out of the Army to find information that may not be out there. So, like I said, today's video is just going to be kind of my experience of getting into the Army and kind of what to expect or what I saw. So, for one, first you got to figure out if you're even going to go. So, you're going to start thinking about it. Go meet with some friends that were in the Army or still in the Army, and they'll give you some advice. And then from there, you're going to go meet with your recruiter. So once you meet with your recruiter, they're going to kind of go over everything with you, make sure you're, in regulation for it. Make sure you're meeting the weight standards, everything that's needed to get in the first place. And then a lot of times, like I did the pre-ASVAB. So I took the pre-ASVAB. And then once I hit my pre-ASVAB, they're like, okay, you scored good enough to go to MEPS for the ASVAB test. So I went to my MEPS center. I remember my recruiter took me to the MEPS center. I took my ASVAB test. And then by the time he came and picked me up, we knew my ASVAB scores. I knew the whole time I wanted to go to the infantry, so I didn't need a high ASVAB score for that, but I scored, I think it was like a 70 something on ASVAB, and my GT was like a 115, 116, 115, around that ballpark. So get back to the recruiting station. We start filling out the paperwork for that. From there, I went in 2021, so it may be a little different. So went in, did that, then I came back a few days later. I was overweight at the time, so I went on what they called back then an ARMS 2.0 contract, which was they allowed like 2% more body fat as long as you passed what they called your OPAT testing, which was your operational physical assessment testing or something like that, or occupational physical assessment testing. And that was basically making sure you met the physical requirements for your job. So I was what they called like a heavy black OPAT, I think is what they referred to it as. Basically, it's, if you remember the fitness grand pacer test in middle school or high school where you run with the little dinging bell. Did that a bunch of times, and I think we did like a deadlift and a few other little exercises. Did that. From there, met with them a few more times, got my body weight down to that 2% above regular entry weight or entry percentage for body fat for tape, and then I went into MEPS for the first time. So MEPS the first time, went in. Basically, they do. If I remember, I went in and you get fingerprinted. You get all this stuff done. You get like your eyes checked, ears checked, blood work done, and then all your medical records looked at. And then you sit down with like a psychologist. They talk to you, and then they do like a little interview to see what your criminal history is, what your background is, what your medical history is. Sorry, I had an itch on my nose. And then from there, I was a delayed entry, so I believe I came into the recruiter's office on March 22nd of 2021 for the first time, or March 13th maybe. It was one of the two. I can't remember the exact dates of it, but it was one of those 2 days. So went in. I told him I didn't want to leave till September. He said, well, you don't want to do that because all these high school kids are going to be in there, and I was working at a state prison at the time. I was 22, and he's like, the next shipping date is in April, so we can just get you out there then. And I was like, okay. So went on delayed entry. at MEPS, did that first round of MEPS, and then took the oath, and then signed my delayed entry packet, and then went back to the recruiter's office, and basically like sat back home for 2 weeks, kind of said my goodbyes, everything. And then it was Easter Sunday. I had to be back at the recruiter's office, and they drove me to the hotel I was staying at. And then the next morning, on Monday morning, they woke us up at like 4 or 5. They did, the hotel called you on the phone, and everybody met downstairs. Went to the MEP Center again, and there they kind of just did the last minute things, made sure that everything was still up to date. It was a long day. You carried around your little packet and basically got re-screened. And we're told if you were go, no go, and then you signed your final paperwork of your branch, or not your branch, but yeah, your branch and your MOS for the Army, or your occupation or whatever. And then we, what can I remember? Signed that. By that point, we'd been there for like 5 hours. It was like 11 a.m. Went and took the oath, the final oath that's sworn in this big room. A bunch of other people. There are people leaving for the Army, Marines, Air Force, Navy, Coast Guard, everything you could imagine. And then from there we went into, you got like a little sack lunch, and they gave you a little meal voucher for the airport. Because once you get to the airport, it's a kind of a weird, it's all really weird. They give you like a packet to pack. I packed for like a week. I didn't know what to expect. I shouldn't have even packed that long. Like, I should have packed like 2 days of clothes, one for getting to where I was going and one for leaving. So I was going to Fort Benning. I signed an 11 X-ray contract because I know in 2021 you couldn't sign just for like, if you're going active Army, you couldn't sign as 11 Bravo or 11 Charlie. You had to sign as like 11 X-ray, and then you were just kind of given it once you got to your reception battalion. So then get to the airport, waited there for a little bit, got on the plane, and then I flew into Atlanta. Had like 3 hours to kind of do whatever, walked around the Atlanta airport, used my meal voucher, got some good food, and then we had to meet at this like big clock tower. And there's all these drill sergeants. You give them like, I think you use like the last 4 of your social. They go over everything with you, and then they get you onto this bus, and it took us 3 hours down to Fort Benning. And then I just remember like sitting on the bus, and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning, and we get to Fort Benning at the reception battalion, and that was like a whole new world to me. Getting down there, I know you go to Fort Benning. If you're going infantry, you're gonna go to 30th AG. So we get to 30th AG, walk into the building. They do their spiel on the bus. You put your phones in a bag, and then you go inside the building. Excuse me, I needed a drink. Get inside the building. They do a quick little brief, and then you sit down, you get your blue book, and then if you don't know what a blue book is, basically like soldier manual. And then you sit down and watch this little video. They gave us a snack tray, and then they had these little amnesty boxes where if you had any contraband, you could just throw it in the amnesty box. Then you go down to their little, I guess laundry center is the best way to describe it. If you ever see like the old prison movies where they're handing out clothes when you like first arrived at prison, that's kind of like what they did. They just gave us like our PT uniforms and socks and shoes for the night. And then we walked out to the reception barracks, and they gave us a few more things like your Camelback and all that stuff. And then by that point, it's like 4 in the morning. Wake up at like 5:15, so like an hour and 15 minutes later, you're waking up. And then reception, like that first week or two, was just crazy. It was constant. You're going to all these appointments. I know the first day you're tired. You go to chow the first time, you don't really want to eat. You're just kind of like all over the place. You don't know what's going on. So I was just kind of like dazed and confused. And then I remember just sitting in this big like gym at the reception center, and this like Army doctor comes in, and she was like, hey, you're about to get all of your immunizations and your blood work. It's gonna hurt, so don't cry because it's just gonna hurt more. And then everybody kind of lined up, and that's when you get your infamous peanut butter shot. That was the first shot we got, and I'll never forget, like, they had us like, you pull down one side of your pants for them to jab you in one of your butt cheeks with, and the guy in front of me like freaked out, and the medic like dropped the syringe, and I was like always afraid of needles, so I was like pale white, and like a tear started rolling out of my eye, and the kid behind me was like making fun of me. He's like, oh dude, it's gonna be okay, and he was just laughing at me, and I was like, dude, I'm like terrified of needles. But from that day on, I was never afraid of needles again. So that was the one cool thing the Army gave me, was like all my fears that I had were basically gone. But yeah, then reception, like that happened. You went through the shots and everything, and then after that, it's kind of just like admin work. They do a lot of paperwork, get all your financing stuff ready, and then shave your head, get all your uniforms and everything issued to you. That's kind of the gist of getting in. From there you just kind of go over to your basic unit, and I know for the infantry, OSIT was 22 weeks. You had your red, white, and blue phase, and that'll be a whole nother video. I'll say when I first went in, I was really nervous. I was kind of worried about leaving my hometown, and then I got there, and it was one of the best decisions I had made for me. It really shaped me into a better person, and it kind of gave me a way to get out of my hometown mindset and kind of broaden my horizons. So yeah, you just have to make sure that's what you really want to do. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of pain, and overall, it was a really rewarding experience getting to kind of get that camaraderie. Definitely, if you are wanting to do it, I'd say go for it 110%. Just make sure you give it all your effort. Infantry school, I thought was going to be this horrible time, but it was all a mental thing. A lot of guys would like drop out in the first couple weeks. But most of the guys didn't, and the guys who didn't, we were all fine, because it was all a mental thing. After that first 2 weeks of them messing with you, you kind of just get into the groove. You realize what you're doing and what to expect, and then you kind of just make it a habit to just kind of form yourself to that program and get through it, and that's how it works. So, but yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, share, subscribe. Thanks for watching. I hope it helped. If you're looking into the Army, talk with a recruiter, talk with your friends, get advice. But yeah, have a good one.